I think we're live. It says we're live. I think we're live.
Oh my God, it looks so messy.
I know it does, doesn't it? Well, this is the problem when I set up the podcast. I have to dig out all these cables and Oh, let me just turn that down. That's going to be
mind.
There we go. Hopefully you can all hear us. Hello. Hopefully you can all hear us.
Oh, that's annoying. Mine's like lagged.
That's annoying. Yeah, me too.
Like lagged.
I'll try and fix that one second. Hey, is that better?
Yeah.
Yeah, that works.
Don't judge us. It is Tuesday, not even 5 o'clock, and we've opened a bottle of red wine.
Cheers.
Cheers. In our defense, we're doing a dry month in 7 days.
Yeah,
so
that's the new way of doing things, isn't it?
Yeah.
Month on, month off.
I'm actually really looking forward to the month off. More every time we do it, I look forward to it more.
Yeah, it's a good thing to do. Month on, month off, man. That's the way. I mean, because you just look forward to drinking so much when you're having the month off, and yeah,
I feel so good when I have the month off.
Me
I
too.
feel mentally and physically like at my prime, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, how you doing, mister?
Wow, that's a loaded question with what I've been through this week.
Yeah.
I feel like right now I feel like a different human being to the person I felt. I think honestly, I would honestly say the last few weeks have been the darkest. I don't want to start this podcast off on a real like negative
It's not negative, it's honest.
But they've been the hardest and most difficult weeks of my life. I have never found it more hard and difficult than I have the past few weeks, and I think it's a perfect storm of gyms are closed. This is how I see it. Right, everyone deals. Well, people deal with different levels of darkness. I've got friends of mine who don't seem to deal with any darkness. Maybe they don't tell me, but they seem to be fine. They never have any problems. Like, I don't ever get sad. I'm fine. I'm always fine. They're in their lane.
Like some men are like that. They're like conditioned to be like on one level the whole time.
Yeah.
When you're a girl, you go through like every emotion pretty much every 40 minutes.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you're constantly going through every single emotion. But I think everyone deals with a different amount of darkness. Now, what people do in life, I think, is they work out what defenses work for them to keep the darkness back. So it could be either medication, it could be yoga, it could be whatever it is. Personally, what I find works for me is going to the gym and lifting weights.
Yeah, the same. I'm with you there.
Yeah,
it took me quite a long time to work that out, though. I don't really think I worked that out until after I'd had our second baby.
Yeah.
So how was I? 27 or something?
Yeah.
28.
So
and then I was like, now I get why people get addicted to the gym.
So that was always my thing. Went to the gym. I just destroy myself and I feel so much better. So if a lockdown happens, it'll be like, oh, well, I can deal with it because at least I've got the gym. But then when you take away the gym and have a lockdown and my dad dies, then it's just almost too much and I can't do it. And you could say, well, you could just go outside and go for a run. But it's like, well, that's not the same as going to a gym and lifting some weights. You could lift the weights at home, but I tried that and I bust my back. It's just not the same.
Also, we're creatures of, like, we really enjoy pattern in our lives. Like, we have to have routine. Children thrive off having routine, and we're basically children with bigger bodies. So it's, I don't know, it's like once you take away that alone, that's hard to deal with, and then you throw in this huge life event, which happens to be a really difficult, sad life event, and you couple those things together, and it's just like your brain doesn't know how to.
Yeah, I've malfunctioned. I basically felt like I malfunctioned. I backfired, and you're right, I couldn't cope. It was just too much. I
think you dealt with it really well.
Anyway, so the perfect storm of things have happened, and I just kind of went to the darkness that I held back and managed to hold back through the gym. I just had no defenses anymore, and it just consumed me in a way that it's never consumed me before. Like in a way that in a way that like you just kind of almost, you want to go to sleep because you want to be unconscious.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you don't want that moment of silence on the pillow when you're trying to fall asleep.
Or that moment when you wake up and for a couple of seconds you forget, and then you have that moment where you remember what you're dealing with and what's happening, and you're like, oh no, I'm awake again.
Yeah. It's been really, really difficult. Anyway, there's been times where my head been on the pillow and I've just cried. Like I just felt tears coming out of my face. I'm like, what's wrong with me? What's going on? And I think what it was is I was just preparing mentally for Dad's funeral, which was yesterday, and it almost felt like I've after that finished and after I finished my speech, I felt this huge wave of kind of mental relief, and I just feel like I feel like myself again for the first time.
Did you feel like it was a physical relief as well? Like, sometimes if you have really bad anxiety and your chest goes all tight, and I even felt a sense of relief afterwards.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And your Auntie Claire was saying to me that she felt like it was a huge, almost like you can like exhale, and everything felt different, because you've had that closure.
Like, I felt like I could breathe for the first time in a long time. I felt this huge wave of relief. I was like, now I can, there's what they said to me, I'm not allowed to touch the coffin. They were like, you can't touch the coffin because of COVID. And I was like, I'm when I said goodbye to him, I had to touch the coffin. I had to be like, goodbye, Dad. Slap the coffin a couple of times, be like, see you later, mate. And that was my just like goodbye to him. Like, I think just being sorry, I think just being near him was something I needed to do, like to be close to him, to say goodbye.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's funny though. So Steph and I had this conversation in the car on the way there. We kind of just naturally segued into this conversation where we were talking about how your mind and your body and your soul are all so separate, and it's a strange thing that we do as humans. We have this ritual where we say goodbye to a person's body, and it's such a beautiful, important ritual to do, and I don't think anyone realizes how important it is until they've done it. It's such an important thing to do. But then it's also really important, in my opinion, to know that the soul, or how the conscious, or whatever you believe, is still there somewhere in the world. We just don't know.
This is it, because I think losing Dad, I was like in the situation where I was like, oh God, I wish I was religious right now, because I would love to fall back on the whole God, oh, he's in heaven now and all this kind of stuff, because I was brought up a Catholic, and like religion from a very early age was kind of drummed into us as in all these Catholic schools. I remember being about 6 years old and looking up and seeing all these effigies of a man impaled on a cross, being 6, being like, what the fuck are you doing? Show me this man with a crown of thorns on his head impaled to a cross for. All I want to do is run around and play with my mates. I don't want to see this shit. Anyway, it was very much drummed into me when I was a kid of like, this is how it is, heaven and hell. It was very binary. And I can see how in a situation like that, you just want to fall back on that. That's like a safety net to be like, oh, but I think for the way I see it is as not an atheist, but a agnostic, believing in something, but also believing in my own naivety and my own limitations of understanding anything. I kind of feel like, I fell back on the idea of him just still kind of being with us and being here, but not in a way that I could ever really understand. His atoms are just dispensed, and that's fine. Like
I always find after someone really significant passes away, I feel like there are little signs in the universe of that person immediately after they've passed away. Like the other day I went for a walk with my friend. I didn't tell you this, and I remember you saying that your dad really liked robins. So random. But I went for a walk with my friend, and she showed me this hidden like secret garden in Bath that you can just go and walk around in. It was nothing special. It was like I think it was like a Victorian landscape garden or something. It wasn't, obviously it was quite dead at the moment. I can't hear anything.
Oh, sorry.
But as soon as I came up the steps into the garden, there was this really little plump robin on one of the signs, and I was just like, I was like, oh, that's Steph's dad. Or like, and obviously not that your dad is the bird, but
of course.
And like last night when we drove home from the funeral and I was getting the kids out of the car and going into the house, I just noticed how bright the stars were. I just really noticed it, and I just felt like it was a sign, or it was just him being like, you guys are okay, like don't worry, I
don't think, like, personally, I don't think that it is a sign. I think it's more that we're receptive to certain things in that situation. We're more open to accepting things and seeing things that we wouldn't normally interpret in that situation.
But don't you think that's because we are, over the course of our lives, almost conditioned not to receive and notice things like that? We're kind of conditioned to be practical and to, I don't know, with the kids, I'm like, I don't want to be like a hippie, but
I think we're highly
almost
conditioned
think
to know when the next like iPhone's coming out, and that's what we're all conditioned for, is like to be consumers. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, we're kind of told, oh, social structure is important, and learning like maths and how to handwrite is important. And I don't know, it frustrates me, especially having done a homeschool, that I'm like, there's so much more in the world that I think children would be like, it would benefit them more to know or to learn or to at least be aware of, you know, like I don't know. I'm going with that.
I think,
do you want a wine top up?
Yeah, I do want a wine top up, actually. Thank you. Anyway, the good thing is I feel reborn. I feel like I'm just back to being myself. The weird thing is, sometimes when you feel down, you feel like, fuck, everyone else has their shit together apart from me. You look around and you see all these people and all these other YouTubers and stuff, and they're talking about how they get their shit together by fucking going to bed at like, you know, whatever, 8 a.m. and getting up at 5 a.m. or something, and they've hacked their brains and they've worked out ways to like make themselves better. And you're like, why does it feel like everyone has this shit figured out, and I'm the only one who's
nobody
just
has their
lost
shit
in the
figured
woods
out
with no fucking shoes on, and everyone else has just kind of worked it all out. They seem to know what they're doing. They like seem to be comfortable with everything. And I'm like, I'm feel so lost a lot of the time, and so like out of my depth, and so like I'm just in this like perpetual state of like panic and anxiety. And I just look around at everyone and I think, God, I wish I was like you guys. I wish I had it all my shit together.
Every week I keep saying to you, you need to read my inner engineering Yogi's Guide to Her. I think it's called Yogi's Guide to Happiness, but it's not. It sounds really cheesy and shit, but it's not at all. It's so deep. And I think that it would really help you right now.
You reckon?
Yeah. And I think you should make a point of reading that.
Yeah.
Because it changed my perspective on so many things.
Okay. You've just finished reading it, haven't you? Maybe I could.
Yeah.
I need to. Yeah.
You hate paper copy books, though.
Yeah, I don't hate paper copy books. I don't mind.
You do. You way prefer Kindle.
No,
I like Kindle for convenience on holiday when there's like 7 books that I want to take.
All the books. I'm reading about 4 or 5 books right now, and every single one of them is a paper book. Just got
good boy. You're learning from me.
I've got the new Tim Key book, which I started reading last night, which is so far.
Is that the poem book?
The poet guy, yeah, Tim Key. We saw
we saw him, didn't we? Underbelly.
We saw him twice actually. We saw him in Underbelly in London, and we saw him in a little theatre in Bath. Remember that time we took Guy and his girlfriend, or his girlfriend at the time, his wife now.
That was great.
He's amazing. I love him. He's like the older I get, the more into poetry. Actually, this is a good segue. I wrote a poem.
I'm also into poetry over lockdown, just because I feel like a lot of the time in lockdown you find it quite difficult to motivate yourself to read or to do a certain activity or to read even a chapter of a book. I know a lot of people who are normally big readers have found almost like a blocker, like a writer's block, but like a reader's block almost. And it turns into like this challenge. Whereas if you get a poetry book, it's literally a page. Some of them are a page, some of them are like 3 lines, and then you feel so enriched from it.
Yeah, I've about a couple of years ago, I started to like intro poetry into the videos. But at first I was thinking, this is so fucking pretentious, bringing in poems. I'm like, God, this is so ridiculous. It was, but then there's something about them that I love, because it's kind of like the mixture between, I don't know, it's like, it feels like music. It feels like, to me, a good poem just feels like almost a good musical score.
Read your poem then.
Anyway, I wrote a poem, my first ever poem about.
You've never written a poem before?
I mean, when I was a kid and shit like that, but never an adult poem.
Do you not remember doing like haikus in English?
No, I didn't start. I didn't do
hate that. You probably skipped class, didn't you? You were naughty.
My God,
I was a swat.
My education was all over the place. But I decided to write a poem about a time of my life, a period of my life when I was about 17. I used to have a friend called Gordon who lived across about 1.5 miles away from me in East Belfast, and I would walk through about 1.5 miles. It would take me to get to his house, and I'd meet up there with a bunch of other reprobates, and we'd all sit round and we'd smoke weed and we'd listen to like metal, and we'd play the N64, and that was my life.
N64, baby.
That was my life for a good couple of years, and it was a little chapter of my life that I remember fondly. Going over to Gordon's house and everyone coming over and all the different characters that were there. I was the little English one that stood out like a sore thumb, and everyone else was like properly Northern Irish, so they're all talking like this.
Maybe you should read your poem in that accent.
Okay. Anyway, so that's what the poem's about. Okay, Here we go.
I have heard this poem, but I'm
You
going
have,
to
but
pretend
I've changed it a bit. I've updated it a
okay.
bit. Yeah, so it's a bit new.
I really liked it when you did read it to me.
I keep working on it, and now this is unfinished. I want to finish it. I want to work on it a bit more and finish
Steph's
it.
always really surprised when I actually like something that he's done. I'm like your hardest customer.
You are literally, yeah, you are. Okay. Gordon cleaned his room. I don't mean he merely tidied or did a quick spruce. Oh no, this was a no holes barred forensic level deep clean like I'd never seen. Trust me when I say no scuff, fluff, or carpet stuff stood a chance in this whole song and dance. Gordon cleaned his room. A room that only a few hours ago hung and swung with all the adolescent hunger, semen, Lynx, Java, and various other teenage spelt you could imagine, and not Gordon's new pristine room that now urged us to sit up straight and articulate our anecdotes with elegance and grace. Gordon cleaned his room. He even took the head off the Hoover so it was easier to maneuver. He washed out his ashtray in the bathroom sink and buffed it dry with a fistful of toilet paper. He even put his CDs in alphabetical order in his CD tower. He even put his N64 cases in their He even put his N64 games in their corresponding cases. Stood back to admire his work with no airs or graces. Gordon cleaned his room. Like an eccentric old lady's wall of obnoxious perfume, the overzealous use of Mr. Sheen polish for all surfaces would linger all week in that tiny room. Even the grime between the rubber buttons of the TV remote had been swabbed using a moist cotton bud. Like I said, this was more than a spontaneous spick and span. This was a deep, unrelenting cleanse, like I'd never seen. The deepest of deep cleans. He used a lint-free microfiber, slightly moist cloth just for the fucking screens. Gordon cleaned his room. He didn't stop there. He even showered too, washed his thick black hair, which was still wet by the time I arrived there. He looked brand new now and smelt like Dove soap and some innocuous shampoo. Gordon cleaned his room. He was proudly sat on his fresh bed sheets, his naked, mottled Irish pale body wrapped in a damp mustard-coloured towel. He looked like a bird perched in his newly gilded cage. No seeds, husks, or the smell of burnt sage to mask the teenage rage. Wow, I said, you've cleaned your room. My eyes suddenly caught by a shard of light chipping off the side of the polished glass ashtray. Yeah, he said. I did. Gordon cleaned his room. That was my poem. First poem I ever wrote. It's a bit weird, isn't it? But I'm inspired by Tim Key. I love Tim Key stuff. That kind of little bit abstracty, weird poetry, and I just love writing it. And I just found like it's another creative outlet that, as music is, as video editing is, as creating, taking photographs, poetry is just like another thing that's like you uncover and you're like, wow, this is fun. I like this.
I liked your poem.
Thanks. That means a lot coming from you as my harshest critic.
I'm a harsh critic.
You are
everything.
Fucking harsh as AF, man.
I'm a bitch off cam.
You are a massive bitch off cam. Yeah.
All right, calm down. Sleep on the floor tonight.
Oh yeah, should we talk about the sleeping on the floor situation?
Steph's got this new thing where, well, I'm hoping it's mostly because you're a bit crippled and you need to lie on a hard floor because of your back, not because you're repulsed by your wife.
No, it is that. I've just...
That you're repulsed by your wife? Thanks.
Shut up. How can I be repulsed by you, Hannah Maggs?
Quite easily. I'm quite repulsed.
No, you're not.
Once you know me.
I many years ago, I had some back problems when I was in my when I started in my 30s, I started having back problems. I'm not going to go on about dad back problems. Everyone wants to listen to that on a fucking podcast. But I'll cut to the chase. I had some back problems. I went to all sorts of people. I went to a Chinese medicine person and they were like, can I say that? Am I going to get cancelled for saying Chinese medicine person?
No, Chinese medicine is a
I know, but
thing.
Fucking 2020s.
Just to interrupt you, somebody just commented saying, is it a Yogi's Guide to Joy by, I think I'm butchering the name, but Sadhguru. But yes, it is that book.
Okay. Yeah, so I went to a Chinese medicine guy. He was like, okay, what you need to do, he did all the cupping, he did this acupuncture. He says, what you need to do is sleep on the floor for about 6 months. And I was like, what are you talking about? So that, and he says, I
remember you doing that. I literally remember you coming home, lying on the floor without your pillow for about 2 minutes and then getting up and coming back into bed and being like, F this. Yeah,
I did. I was down there for 2 minutes. I lay down there.
That was pre-children though.
I was like, this is fucking horrible. You can't do this. This is basically impossible. Who can do this? And then I got back into bed. No, that's a lie. I was down there for about a minute and then I was like, I can't do this. I need a pillow. So I had a pillow and then I was down for another minute. I was like, no, wait, I'm not doing this. But now weirdly, I'm obsessed with, I just got up the other day, lay on the floor, fell asleep and I was like, that was amazing. And now I'm obsessed with sleeping on the floor. I love sleeping on the floor.
Do you know what I think it is?
What?
And you're going to hate me and think that I'm in some weird like hippie cult, but I've been reading about energy points in your body.
Oh Christ.
And if you sleep flat, it's meant to like align all your energy. So I think that's
Really?
why you
think
feel
that's what it is?
good.
You think I'm getting my energy aligned?
You needed your energy aligned.
I definitely need my energy aligned. But my back, I get up feeling like I'm in my 20s again. I get up, I jump out of bed, and I'm like,
That's
whoa,
nice.
yeah, baby. I'm going to put my socks on, and I'm not even going to make any weird dad grunts.
Last night, I was tempted to join you, but then we ended up drinking quite a lot of red wine last night.
Yeah.
And we never go to bed late ever, but we went to bed really late. And I was like, it's not a good time for me to try and sleep on the floor because I need to get whatever hours I can get right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think you'd like it. I think you'd fucking hate it down there. But it's an acquired taste.
I get lower back pain recently though.
It's getting into the 30s, Hannah.
I
This
know,
is what happens.
it's so depressing.
You're on a downward spiral now, man.
Well, I don't mind looking older. I am older. Like, I don't mind looking older and I don't really care about that. But I'm like, I don't want to feel like physical pain because my body's getting old. I'm like, oh no.
Didn't somebody piss you off when they said on your video, or one of your videos fairly recently, they were like,
oh, yeah.
You look really old.
No, they said, oh, you're aging or something like that. And I'm like, yeah, that's because I am.
Funny that.
I'm like, that's because I am. And sorry that my aging is so annoying for you.
It's funny how somebody actually went through the effort to type that. Like,
I know.
To let somebody know that something natural is happening to them. You're getting older.
I know. It's such a culture thing though, where as a woman, you're expected to look young until you're like 50. You're expected to look young and be sexy. And I'm like, I'm not young or sexy.
I had this period of my life. I think I probably spoke to you about this before. I had a period of my life where I was really scared I was going to be a pedo because I was like, when I was like 15 or whatever, and I'd liked other 15-year-olds, and I was 12 and like other 12-year-olds. I was like, I really fancy a 12-year-old, and I was really worried about getting older and then still fancying like young. Because I can't imagine
fancying someone older.
Yeah, I was like, this girl, this Rachel Hill girl in my class. I was like, she's the most beautiful thing ever in the world. I'm never not going to love her like how she is now. And I was like, oh my god, well, if I still like her when I'm like 10 years old, I'm going to be like one of those creepy pedo guys. But weirdly, what happens is as you get older as a man, your taste adapts and you fancy people like normally at the age, you have the age bracket that normally follows you along.
Yeah.
But it's so
I always say to you, don't I, if God forbid something ever happened to you and I had to find another man, I would always go older. I would never go my age or even your age. I would go older. I would go like Silver Fox.
Would you? You'd have a saggy bum.
They got all their shit together. Like they've done all the boring stuff they need to do and they're like whole as a person.
I'm pretty damn motherfucking whole.
Yeah, I know. I didn't say you weren't.
What?
Oh, you should call the podcast I'm Motherfucking Whole.
Yeah, I think I wouldn't. This is a tricky thing. Like
maybe I've just got a daddy complex.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe this girl needs to get to therapy.
I don't know. I think it's everyone has their. The weird thing is that I find peculiar about modern culture is that there is this element of being like, you have to fancy me, and if you don't, you mean, because you've got prejudices. You know, that's quite tricky because it's like sometimes you just don't. You're like, that's not my taste. I don't like that particular. You know, like I've always liked dark haired girls. Like not say I've dated blonde girls, but my preference has always been dark hair girls. Just they ever since I was a little kid, it's just been my thing.
Really?
Yeah, really. Like
I've not really ever had like a preference in terms of looks. My main attraction to somebody has always been how much they make me laugh. Always.
You struck gold with
because you have to and looker. But if you're going to be with somebody and spend time with them, wouldn't you rather be laughing?
Yeah.
I don't know. Right. To me, it just doesn't make any sense to pick somebody just based on shell. Not saying a shell isn't sexy AF, but saying you got a pretty good.
I always find the funniest people are the broken people in life. The ones that seem to be broken from something tend to be funny. You know, it's somebody who's been through some shitty thing or something that's happened in their life that's just really fucking dark. They tend to like. I was saying this to my friends the other day when I talked about when they like, do you like Northern Ireland? And I was like, well, I didn't really get on that much with it. But I liked the people because the people made the place much better. And I was like, and I can imagine it would be different in like LA. In LA, I imagine I would like the people less, but the place more. But I think when you're living in a place which is like, Northern Ireland, people are like, well, we've got to make up for this somehow by being funny and characters and make you laugh. And they have this kind of, they make up for the fact that the place is pretty bleak by being just like, their personalities are the thing that's like, this is great. So the comedy clubs I used to go to when I was a kid, I used to go on my own, just literally there's one comedy club I used to go to every I think it was every Thursday. Sometimes my friend Ryan would come with me, but a lot of times I just went on my own. I just watched the stand-up comedians, and they were so fucking funny. Some of them were so good. And I just
when are you going to do stand-up?
Man, the things I'm not.
Would you not do? I guess if you did like a YouTube stand-up, there would be no audience.
No,
so you would. I mean, that's kind of cool. You don't know if you're car crashing or not.
Every time I consider it,
you can't read the room.
The thing is, every time I consider it, because I've been to enough that I've been like, I've seen some comedians where I'm like, I think I could do this, but then I will go somewhere and we'll see some fucking assassin, and we'll be like, I can like.
Do you remember before COVID happened? I can't do that. Do you remember before COVID happened, and you and I were out on a date night one night, and we hadn't really planned anything. We just had a babysitter in, and we walked past that bar in town on Walcott Street, and some girl like snuck us in the back even though we didn't have tickets. We were like, what's going on in there? Oh no, I wish we'd known about it, we would have come. And she was like, oh, I'll just sneak you around here and you can just go in. And it was such a good night. It was a comedy night,
and that's the thing, the comedians were so good.
They were really good,
and they were off the cuff, and they were just coming up with stuff instantly, like, what's your name? And then they were just freestyling, and I was like, that's brilliant.
I
so funny.
Cannot imagine anything more terrifying than having to do that. Like, if you told me I had to do a stand-up act, I would have anxiety for like literally every night.
Would you?
Yeah.
I'd feel I'd love that anxiety. I'd love to do it.
Really? Because I would just freeze. I just can't imagine being in front of that many people and everyone looking at you, which is so weird considering what we do. But I cannot do public speaking. I've always been like,
you're just not into it, are you?
No, ever since I was a kid, or like even being at school, like I would hate putting my hand up. I'd do it sometimes just to tick the box and be like, I've done it now, so I don't have to do it next time. But I would hate people looking at me while I was speaking. Like, it would just make me feel really self-conscious and shy and like, just like I want it to be over, and I can feel my face getting all hot and red, and I'm like, oh no, now I'm going red, and like it's not my thing.
I weirdly, when I used to watch comedians, I used to watch it and to look for patterns and what they were doing and how they were doing it, and then I started to notice this pattern happening where the comedian would come out and immediately they have to kind of disarm everyone, because immediately everyone is going, who are you to have the audacity that you're going to come out here and think that you're fun? Like, people are just immediately like, quite, who the hell are you? And then the comedian has to dismantle themselves first of all. So what they do is they normally just tear themselves apart. And I see it even with like on certain YouTube videos with certain like social commentators, they'll dismantle themselves. So they make themselves invulnerable to attack. So like, you can't almost come at them, because they're like, well, I've already come at myself so much that I'm so dismantled. I've so disarmed you.
You've attacked yourself, so therefore they can't attack you.
Exactly,
because you've already done it for them.
I've done a brutal job,
and you're like, I know this, and this about me. So I've said it. Now you don't have to say it.
So the comedians that I like don't tend to do that. People like Stuart Lee and stuff like that, they don't tend to do that. They have their own unique way of doing comedy, which isn't that. But the problem is with comedy is it takes, I think, like 10, 15 years of constant.
I was always really disappointed with name and shame here, but I love Joe Rogan and you love Joe Rogan. And then when I found out he was doing stand-up, I was like, oh my God, it's going to be amazing. And then we watched it and I was like, what is this?
I think it's just not our taste. I think it's an American audience taste. We have quite a different taste.
I mean, my humor's dark and sarcastic. Yeah. I think that's just that's how I am. So I like it when somebody else is like that. Yeah. No filter.
For me, his stand-up comedy sounds like his just podcast, except he's shouting it really loudly at me.
Oh my God, yeah, the shouting thing, that's weird.
But it doesn't mean that I don't think it means that the comedy, like, I think it's good comedy for that audience, but I just don't think we have the same, there's not the same nuance in British comedy and American comedy. It's very different. Like, they might watch something like Michael McIntyre and just see the observational comedy and be like, well, that's just the observational comedy. Oh, they might see stuff like fucking, what's that other awful thing that we have out here that aunties all love? the woman, the man that dresses up as a woman, which I wish they'd stop doing. That thing, it's a massively popular show, Miss Brown's Boys,
Yeah,
or something like that. Yeah. Which I'm hoping that woke culture will catch up to that and be like, it's problematic for a man to dress up as a woman. We're going to cancel it. That's what I'm hoping for, because it's awful. But mind you, if the aunties are loving it, then like let them have a bit of fun watching Miss Brown's Boys.
Let them have something. Let everyone have something over lockdown, Steph.
Lockdown's coming to a fucking end.
Yeah, baby.
Hell yeah, baby.
But do you know what? Lockdown's coming to an end right when our sober month comes in. But then I don't know how you feel, but I personally weirdly don't feel that excited about it. I'm happy that the children get to go back to school, and I think that's amazing. And that was my priority. Like, I just want them to feel normal again and be able to do normal things with their friends. And also not to have to teach would be wonderful, although it's got much better.
Homeschooling is the fucking worst thing I've ever done in my life.
It was amazing today. He was so easy.
No, he wasn't. You were like, what's higher than 25?
Oh, but then you left and he did the whole worksheet really quickly. He did that whole worksheet really quickly.
I came into the kitchen, you were doing it, he was being a dick about it, and I was like, how are you holding that down? Because I would have lost my shit by
mate,
now.
I was so hungover and tired that I just did not have the energy to be like, you know this. Yeah. I was just like, I'm just going to sit here and like I try and pretend to be a good mum.
You were like, what's a number that's higher than 25, Grayson?
Oh, no, yeah.
He's like,
it was smaller than 45, but greater than oh god, I don't know what it was. It was a really easy question,
and or something greater than 24.
There was literally one number in the middle of these two numbers.
All you had to say was 25, and you were like, I was watching you just being like, I'm about to blow a fuse, and I'm just making coffee.
But that's the thing, though, when the third person comes into the dynamic, I think his brain almost does that thing where he tries to play us off against each other.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, like it's quite Machiavellian, that's what it's called. Okay. Where they go through this Machiavellian stage where they try to like basically make us fight. So that
little bastards.
Yeah. Oh no, I've got no battery in my watch.
Why? Why does that matter?
Because I'm gonna do some yoga later.
Oh,
I want to record it because that's the twat I am.
Oh, you want to record it? Say why you want to record it. Because you want a little...
No, I don't want to record it. I mean, I want to track it on my watch.
Yeah, you want to track it because you're in a little tracking gang with a bunch of other girls where you're trying to out-track each other. And you're like, that bitch, she's done a fucking workout.
I never win.
Yeah.
I never win.
You were smashing it for a while with your bar. You were like, oh, yeah, man, she's got no chance of catching up today.
No, but I have a friend who is a machine.
Who?
Rom. She's a machine, yeah.
You were smashing her for the first bit.
No, and then I checked it, and like every day she'd beat me. She's like, she has so much energy, and she's really into fitness. And I'm like, good for you, but stop killing me.
You were smug AF because you were like, fucking hell, yeah, you think you can beat me? Right, I'm going to do another bar. You were doing bars all over the place.
I know. I had a good bun that week.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Now I'm just drinking red wine and like feeling sorry for myself on a yoga mat.
Yeah, but we got a bit of an issue with Rubert as well, don't we, right now? Well, not an issue, but like he's got a massive bald patch on his head from like pulling out his hair. He's got this weird...
I know. Like, do you know what
the name of it?
There's a name, tracker something or other. It's basically OCD.
No, it's not.
It's in the OCD family.
People confuse it with OCD, but it's not OCD.
Oh, well, I read that it's part of an OCD thing.
Shitty website you're reading, but it's not OCD. It's just some fucking... It just basically pulls out his hair.
He's always played with his hair. He's always like twirled his hair ever since he was like able to reach his hair and feel it. He's always played with it, and that's how I always used to know that he was getting tired when he was a baby. Is that he'd always like go like this, and he has this special way of doing it that he used to show me how to do it so that I could do it to him.
Yeah.
Where it's like you slice the hair like that and then you pull it up, but now he started like twisting and pulling, and that's how he does it. And he's pulling it all out, and he's got a bald patch, and it's so sad.
No,
and we've been reading a little bit about it online, and you're not supposed to really say to them, "Don't do it," or even acknowledge it. But it's really hard because it makes him look like ill, and I find that really hard. And I know it's an aesthetic thing, and that doesn't matter, but. I don't know. I just, you know, when you just feel like you're failing and you're like, oh, he's obviously stressed or anxious, or he's doing this thing, and why is he doing this thing? So yeah, I'm looking for a a child therapist that I can chat to that can like give me some advice.
The thing is, there's no like kind of this. You just do this, and that's
no,
it.
there's no quick
It's all
fix. It's
CBT
a brain
therapy.
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's all CBT therapy, isn't it? I think bribery and being like somehow
bribery that'll help.
Like, don't pull it, and if you don't pull it for a week, whatever. If you don't,
No,
pull it,
I
you'll get
think
a
kids
toy.
are just really tuned in with things and with energies and stuff. And I think that we're in a lockdown for one.
But they don't know.
No, they do. Things are strange, and also we had a significant death in the family and a funeral, and they're smart and they hear grown-ups talking and they pick up on things, like you know, like
yeah. He's been one of the therapies, like a great therapy for me, Ruby. Like before I put him to bed and we play on the bed and we play together. Like it's just it just having him there and it sounds creepy, but like smelling him and having him just like on me after the bath and cuddling him and throwing him around and hearing his little laughter. That's like, you couldn't ask for a better therapy to deal with stuff like this.
Do you know what makes me feel so much better as people commenting and being like, my kids did this too? Makes me feel
feel better that other people
not better, but like just like other people have been through it too. It's comforting, you know, to know that they obviously came out the other side, and it's and then it's upsetting to see it as the parent.
Yeah, it's a weird thing to do, isn't it? Like it's like, yeah, you wish you could explain to them, but you can't say to them, don't pull out your hair because you go bald, because for them they're just like, I don't care. What does that mean?
Somebody just commented saying that their mum ended up giving the brother a Barbie doll for the hair.
It's a good idea.
Yeah.
Oh God, I can sound like a right creep. I don't even know why I started this sentence. My sister had a Barbie doll.
Oh no, don't go there. Please don't.
What do you think I was going to say?
Because I know the story.
What's the story?
No, I'm not telling that story. I am not that crass.
All I was going to say is I used to like looking at her bum. She had a great bum.
Okay.
Barbie had a lovely bum.
You're not allowed to say that anymore because the figure of Barbie was so, and it is, physically impossible.
Right, here, Kate, future prediction. What will happen in the future is that this is going to be cause massive birth issues, because people will, like, who's that guy, that really handsome guy that all women like? That guy with long hair. Like? Who's in that Aquaman shit? That big buff guy, big long hair, like perfect man.
Yes, you don't know who you're talking about.
Basically me with long hair. You're
growing your beef out stuff.
No fucking choice.
I might get you to cut my hair, not tonight because you've had wine, but I might get you to cut my hair. I need a lockdown haircut, Steph. I can't wait.
My mate Phil has a lockdown haircut. He looks like he's had a head injury.
It's another 6 weeks, and I'm like, I just need the ends trimmed. Do you think you can do a straight line? Not tonight.
Not tonight, man. I've had far too many wines. Far too many wines.
Once you've sobered up later, though, before bed.
No.
You can follow the line round, surely. You're not that.
You think, but it's fucking tricky, man. Hairdressers are talented people.
Yeah, no, I know. But as long as you take like literally like a couple of millimeters off.
Jason Mimosa, that guy, Jason Mimosa. Everyone knew I was talking about Jason Mimosa. Jason Mimosa.
Who is this guy? Right. Do I need to follow him on Instagram?
He's pretty fucking dreamy. I mean, he turned me.
Hang on.
Yeah, he turned me.
How do you spell his surname?
Jason
he'll probably be with a blue tick right up at the top, right?
Momoa. Mimosa. What the fuck, mimosa?
Jason.
You get an Indian. No, sorry, Momoa. Jason Momoa.
Is it Jason Momoa 101?
God knows. I don't know. Don't follow him.
15.1 followers?
No, 15.1 followers.
Hang on, wait. It's not this guy, is it?
He's an absolute dreamboat.
There's no like pictures of his face. This dude with the sword. Is that the guy?
No, he just looks like a fucking emo from Wales.
Jason Momoa.
Jason Momoa, yeah, baby. Anyway.
Mimosa. Oh no. Everyone's just laughing at you. Please live stream the haircut.
No, we can't do that, man. Yeah. No,
I'm going to do my own hair this week. I'm going to dye my own hair and I'm going to make you trim it.
You do it, baby.
I will, baby.
Anyway, future predictions are people are just going to design their own almost like partners, and they're going to have those as partners. So you will be able to exist in a house where you're perfect. Like, okay, Jessica Rabbit, she's hot. I fancy the shit out of Jessica Rabbit. And it's so weird that I fancy a bunch of lines. Like, how weird is that? I
fancy Simba.
You Simba?
Like, Simba from The Lion King, he's not even a human.
Yeah.
What was Jessica Rabbit?
Jessica Rabbit.
No, I know what Jessica Rabbit was, but is she supposed to be a human?
She's just this really hyper feminized like woman with
with the waist that's like
impossible, problematic in every sense of the word.
Yeah, but I fancied a fucking lion.
Yeah, you're a bit fucking weird, man.
I once had a dream. Probably going to regret saying this online. You know that scene in The Lion King?
Somebody said they fancy Eric from Little Mermaid. That's fucking
where Eric's hot. And also, do you know who else is hot?
Somebody's Robin Hood. Hey, hang on, everyone in the comments.
Oh my god, yes!
Everyone in our comments, tell me what fucking weird fetishes you have for like.
Everyone tell me all your weird Disney crushes. Also, I fancied what's the guy in Tangled called? But because he reminds me of you. If you were in cartoon form, you would be the guy in Tangled.
He was a prick.
He was a funny prick though. And he was also like quite handsome.
Somebody used to fancy Bart Simpson.
Oh no, that's creepy.
That's too much. Oh, that's a bit much.
He's yellow, guys. Simba with his big mane, like rolling.
Flynn Rider.
Oh, Flynn Rider. Yeah, you remind me of Flynn Rider because he was like a little bit.
I'm like a depressed-looking Flynn Rider. I'm like
Flynn You're the dad version of Flynn. You're Flynn Rider's dad.
Flynn Rider's dad who's going through a divorce and really depressed. That's who I am. Yeah.
Flynn Rider's dad who is obsessed with what your little key thing's called.
Oh yeah, Flynn Rider's obsessed with Ableton.
Flynn Rider's dad sobbing into the Ableton.
Fuck you, bitch. You can't say that. It's too soon.
You knew who you married.
Anyway, what are we talking about? So there will be a point, probably when Grayson's our age, will be when you.
Oh yeah, someone else fancied Simba. Yes, teenage Simba, cute. But then adult Simba rolling down the hill. I had a dream that I was Nala. It was the best dream. I still remember it.
Do you?
Yeah, it was like a really vivid dream where I was underneath Simba.
Oh Christ! This is
not in a sex way, but like Simba was on top of me and it felt good. A cartoon lion. I'm like, what is the? I need to go to therapy.
Getting fucked by a lion.
No, I wasn't fucked by a lion. I was just underneath the cartoon lion, and it felt good.
Hang on, we haven't had a sponsor on our podcast yet. Come on now, man. Kiss goodbye to that sponsorship, dude. You'll be able to choose who walks into your room and serves you sexually. I wish I didn't cut to me when I said sexually then, but yeah, that's what will happen. People will choose, like, so you'll choose Jason Mimosa, whatever.
I couldn't find him. I'm really disappointed.
To the room and be like, hey, what do you need tonight? You'll be like, I need a good conversation. And he'll be like, fine, I'm here for you. Tell me what
What, like a robot?
There'll be, I reckon they'll project through augmented reality the person into your life. So you won't be able to touch something that's augmented reality because it's only a projection into the physical space that you're encountering. So I could look to my right and see somebody sitting in a seat there, and that would just be a projection through these glasses, which I do believe are the next mobile phones. I think the new mobile phones will be augmented reality glasses.
I'm an old granny with stuff like that. But I find it so sad because everyone's already sucked into their phones enough as it is. Like your niece was telling me some of her friends' screen times are 14 hours a day. 14 hours. I thought I was bad. Mine's like 3, sometimes 2. And I work from my phone a lot. 14 hours makes me feel like...
That's depressing as fuck. That's depressing.
But do you think it's depressing because we grew up without mobile phones? So we had the whole of our childhood and teenage years without mobile phones. If we had had them, then we'd probably understand it.
If we had mobile phones growing up, we would have been cancelled by now. We would never have had a career because you would dug up stuff that you used to say when you were a kid, which is just kid shit, and you would be cancelled. So we are a blessing. But so anyway, it will be augmented reality. The sex
Aladdin.
The sex bit would be somebody fancies Aladdin. No,
Aladdin's hot too. I get that.
No, I get
Jasmine
Aladdin.
was also really hot though. I'm like a weird person that is bisexual for cartoons. Is that a thing? I'm like, Jasmine was hot. Tangled Princess was hot.
Khal Drogo, Game of Thrones. Who was he? Was he the guy who married the
was he the one that was like really sadistic?
Wasn't he the guy? No, wasn't he the guy who married the woman who was the Dragon Queen, whatever her name is? I went past her. Actually.
The really sadistic one.
No, he wasn't sadistic.
Tom Hardy, yep, on board with that.
What do you mean Tom Hardy? You're not on board with Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy's cute. Show me a picture of Tom Hardy and tell me you don't think he's cute.
basically me, just less charisma.
Everybody's you, Steph. You're like, it's all about me.
Jason Momoa plus Tom Hardy equals Steph Michalak.
There's a beautiful mathematical equation.
Anyway, no. So I've thought long and hard about this. So yes, let's go back to this. So you will project with augmented reality your perfect effigy, because it won't be really anyone that you could imagine it being. Like, it could be like a Jessica Rabbit. It could be a fucking Bart Simpson. Whatever it is, you'll project that, and that is the person you will spend your time with, and you'll choose how much aggression they have. You'll choose how much empathy they have. You'll choose how much cynicism they have. You'll get to tweak all of these individual character traits until you find somebody you're comfortable with. And this is what will happen. I guarantee this will happen. Now, the sex bit, what I reckon will happen there is there will be some sort of, there'll still be an augmented, the projection will go over something physical. So you'll have almost like a doll or a thing there that your augmented reality will project the thing onto. So say if it is like just almost like this blank mannequin thing, your glasses will
You're basically saying you want to project a hot version over whoever you're with.
Whatever this thing is, whatever this doll is, you can project anything onto it and then do your business with that. And that is, I think, what will happen. I think there is a massive issue in the world with loneliness. I think there's a huge issue with people being lonely. They can't find the right person. They just can't do it. They find social interactions tricky. They find meeting people hard. They don't know how to do it. I think this will answer all of those questions, and it's a bad thing. And it will not. I don't think it will. It will serve some purposes for the good, but I think in general it'll be a bad thing, because a lot of people will just go into these have these relationships with AI, and it won't be a relationship with another human being. But I think that's where we're heading.
Right, so Mr. AI.
It's nice saying these things right now, because when people watch these back in years, they can be like, "Oh fuck, he was right, man. That man knew what he was talking about." Yeah.
We got to go and eat some food, so we got to wrap this up.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's get back to just getting lubed up and get into that. Literally.
I know you're getting all excited.
Why do you switch off whenever I start talking about AI predictions?
Because you've talked to me about it so much. I've heard it so much.
You sound so destroyed by it.
I'm just destroyed. Generally.
Why are you destroyed?
I'm just generally destroyed. I'm a bitch slave.
Hang on a minute. I forgot to ask. So how's your week been?
Thank you.
I got there.
Every week I ask you how your week's been, and you never ask me.
I do go back.
How's my week been? Challenging is probably the best way to summarize my week, I think. Challenging and emotional, I think.
How so?
Just, I think Rufus with his hair pulling thing, I found quite difficult to see and navigate. Obviously we had your dad's funeral. That was difficult. I found that really hard. I found it hard seeing you and your sister upset and so having to say goodbye to a really important person in your life. I found it hard knowing that my kids don't have a granddad anymore, and I found it really hard.
You held it together really well, man.
I didn't. I had to walk off. Nobody else was physically crying, and I was about to go, and I had to go and walk off. Luckily the kids were climbing up some tree they weren't supposed to be climbing up, so I was like, okay, I'm just going to turn away from everyone and pretend that I'm going to tell my kids off, because I was like, if I go then it's once someone goes, and I felt like it wasn't really my place to do it, if someone was gonna sob, it needed to be you or your sis,
Yeah.
I was like, I don't want to be the one that can't hold their shit together.
Yeah, you held it together well. You were like my little fan.
It was really hard though. I found it very emotional, and I mean, I think it probably brought up a lot of stuff for me that I never really dealt with back in my 20s that I still need to go and deal with. You know?
Think so?
Yeah.
I always think there's some stuff that we mentally deal with. Some psychiatrists think, no, you need to dig all that old shit out.
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
And let it breathe. And I'm like, I think there's a lot of stuff that we've dealt with. I know, actually, I'm talking shit. I think you should actually. I know from experience of having somebody close to me ending their life because they didn't do what you said. They didn't address stuff that happened when they were very young. And it ended in tyranny. And I think you're right. I think you'd probably do.
Yeah, and I feel like grief seems to be such a taboo subject. It's not a positive subject. And it's a really hard one to talk about because not everybody has the same experience. It's a very personal thing. Each time is a personal thing because it's always a different relationship, you know? So you never know, depending on the person, how they're going to process it. And so it's a really difficult one to talk about, I think. But I think it's so important to talk about because if we don't talk about it, then it's not normalized, and it's everybody will go through it. Everyone.
It's funny you say that because I walk around sometimes now and I see people in the park and I'm like, you must be either dealing with grief or sometime in your life you will be dealing with grief. And it's like this big, it's a fundamental thing of your life that is coming or has come. And I don't know you and I've never met you, but you could have dealt with that before. Like my two cousins who I've only just recently met, long story, but anyway, they lost their dads and they've dealt with it. And it's something that I could never have related to with them until it happened to my dad. And I was like, shit, man, I know where you've
young.
been. Yeah.
They're really young, like in so many ways. I know it's probably hard to hear, but I think in so many ways you were so lucky you had that relationship for so many years and you got to see it into your adult life and as you became a father you had your dad, and I don't know, like there's a lot to be thankful for, I think.
Of course.
And I do think in so many ways death, it changes you the way you appreciate people, it changes the way you look at life, it changes everything, really. It changes you fundamentally as a person when you lose somebody that's really important to you. But it's not talked about openly ever. I mean, I have been meaning to make a YouTube video about how I coped with death or like death coping mechanisms, but I've never been brave enough to do it because I know that if I start talking about it, that's going to be really hard and it never gets easier. Like I'm 11 years in and I still find it really hard. That's why I need to go to therapy.
Yeah. You think so?
Yeah, for sure. So? But I feel like it's taken me this long to feel ready to go and deal with it. Like I feel stable and happy and content, and most of the time.
Your friend Helen's studying a master's in it. You just get her to go for a walk around the park with her and open up.
I do sometimes.
Yeah, but one thing I find good, well, one way you've been managing everything recently is you've been doubling down on your yoga, man, haven't you? You've been like, you've been doing so much of it to the degree now where you're like, I think you have realized how much it is doing for you. Where you're like, fuck, I want to help other people do what it does for me.
Yeah, it's weird though because I see, it's funny, I see yoga sometimes on Instagram as like just some hot girl in a cute outfit doing like a really amazing pose that's like, you're like, whoa, how does she bend her body like that? But for me, it's like, I appreciate that, and I appreciate the level of like dedication it gets you have to do that. But I want to help people who aren't really looking for that. They're looking more for like just to take a breath from their brain and their thoughts and just do a 15-minute session and feel like they can cope or feel like they can go into whatever it is they're dealing with or doing that day feeling like they've taken a bit of time for themselves and nurtured themselves, you know.
I think it's an amazing thing for you to for you to evolve into. I think
I would love to do it.
You've been doing it since you were 8.
I don't feel like I got you know when you just have that imposter syndrome though and you don't feel like you've got the guts to do something or you're not good enough or
of course.
You'll get judged or like, just for example, like my body doesn't bend in certain ways that it should do to be a yoga teacher, you know, like I'm not flexible and I can't do headstands and
but I don't think that's what it is. I don't think
no, but I feel like a lot of expectation would be that you should be able to do all of that stuff, you know, and I can't. But
it's different type of yoga. Like you're doing a mindfulness based yoga, which is to calibrate your mind. It's not to do a fucking headstand. It's to calibrate. That's all it's for. So I do think it's something you should do. I do think it's
I would love to.
You've been doing it since you were 8 years old, haven't you?
Yeah.
Like, we
had it as PE at school. And then I remember seeing my mum doing it. Like she used to always go to Riviera Centre in Torquay to do her yoga. I think it was on a Thursday night. She'd be like, don't watch Buffy while I'm gone. Because Buffy the Vampire Slayer always used to freak me out when I was that old. And she'd go and like the first thing I would do would be to put Buffy on. But I'd always watch it from the corner of the room so that the vampires couldn't come in and get me.
That's so funny.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, I think you should do it. I think I'm your biggest fan and your biggest champion. So
I know that's the good thing. Like you've always been so supportive with any ideas or thing that I've wanted to do. You've always been like, no, you should do it. Whereas I'm such a critic of myself, and
everyone is.
I'm so like, oh no, I'm shit. I can't do that, or I shouldn't do that, or everyone else is already doing it and they're doing it better. And you're like, do it. You can do it.
Yeah,
it's so important to have someone in your life that is like your cheerleader, you know.
I think that comes a lot. I honestly say it comes a lot from mum. Mum is very much the sort of person who's like, do it. You're brilliant. You're great. You can do it. Because she's such an Irish mum that like anything and everything, she's just like, oh, you're the best at that. Whatever you're doing, like, I made you a cup of tea. It's the best fucking cup of tea. You should go into this. You should do this for a job, man. People are paying a lot of money for the tea. She's very much been like that ever since, since I was a kid. And it's kind of, and it's weird because everyone I've ever dated, or even friends, a lot of what I find really weird about people is that a lot of people don't have somebody there to say, fucking do it, man. You're good. Do it. Try it. Go out there and give it your 100%.
And if you're not good, who cares,
man? Exactly. Who gives a fucking shit? And I think everyone needs that person just to be, because everyone is their own worst enemy. They're like, oh no, I wouldn't be very good. I would be shit. I'm not, everyone's gonna laugh at how bad I am at this. It's like, fuck all that negative bullshit.
It's funny. Do it. So I just read a book this week that my yoga teacher actually recommended to me called The 4 Agreements. And one of the agreements that you are supposed to make with yourself is to be impeccable with your word. And it's basically not to talk down to yourself or talk negatively, and to try and like retrain your brain.
Well, so you just big yourself up the
to
whole
be
time.
Your own champion.
You don't want to turn
not to be like, oh, you little bitch. Not to be like obnoxious, but just to try things and to not put yourself down all the time. And I think it's really hard in the culture that we live in not to do that, because there's always somebody out there that's doing whatever it is you want to do already, and they're really good at it, and you're like, oh shit, how am I ever going to be that good, The
paradox about mum being like, oh, do it, you're great, is that there's this thing in Ireland where there's this joke my sister told me last night. It's an Irish joke, and it's very funny because it's very true. And a guy was collecting some crabs, and he had this little bucket that he was putting the crabs into, and one by one he was popping these crabs.
Stealing your
I said it was my sister's joke.
Oh, okay.
I think you just said it was my sister's joke. I didn't steal it. He was putting these crabs into this little bucket, and there was too many crabs, and the bucket was too small. And somebody came along and said, "Look, why don't you have a bigger bucket? Like, these crabs are just climbing out of this bucket." And then the guy was like, "Don't worry, because the crabs in the bucket just pull the ones back in again." And it's like that in Ireland. It's like you don't ever want. This is what I had when I lived over there. It felt like people didn't want you to get above your station, or they didn't want you to succeed. I feel like there's this mentality in Ireland where it's like, if somebody did well, everyone was like, it was almost like kind of people didn't like it. They didn't like people doing well. It was such a weird thing. Which I don't understand, and it's so polar opposite to like how they are in America. They're like, yeah, man, just do it. Like, failure is just a part of the process and whatever. So I do think that I do wish people would be a bit more like supportive over each other, and I do, especially in couples. A couple should always be the biggest fan of the person that they're with, and be like, you are fucking great and you're really good, and I'm here to support you, and I'm going to help you no matter what. And I think that's so important to do in every relationship, because you'd be amazed at how just a few words can make somebody be like, yeah, oh, thanks, that's all I needed, and off they go, and they make one phone call, one decision to like book that course or do that thing, and then their whole life just changes.
It's like a pivot.
Yeah, it's just a whole thing that sends them on a whole new path in a different direction. Yeah, so I think it's important to do that. I think it's really important to do that. I think people forget that. Somebody says Scots are like that too, Steph. I think English are like that as well. I think a lot of people are like that. I think a lot of people are like, don't like seeing people to get above their stations or do well. Like, it's a shame. Like, I was talking to you the other day about one of my old friends. He just made like millions of pounds he made on krypton.
Oh my God, you haven't stopped going on and on and on about it.
And at first, when I heard, I was really jealous. I was like, oh my God, he just made like, I think it was £6.5 million he made on putting like a few £1,000s on an obscure coin, and it just blew up, and he made all this money. And at first, I was really jealous, and then I had to reframe it to myself. But no, man, good on him, and don't you dare feel bad that he's done this. And I almost like had to kind of really. Like I got angry at myself for feeling that jealous.
Isn't jealousy? It's the worst human emotion.
I hate it.
It's so disgusting and corrosive and toxic.
Yeah.
Like it
eats you away from the
horrible
inside.
Thing to feel, and then you feel guilty because you feel jealous of somebody as well. Like it's
exactly
not a good trait to like nurture in any way.
No, and it's so easy to do. You can just open up Instagram instantly and be like, oh man,
that person got that job. I didn't get that. I was supposed to get that.
They've done that awful thing, and they've got like this cheesy thing that they've done, and it with like 1 billion people like it, and you're like, oh fuck this life. That can be annoying, but then you just got to be like, no, good on them. I hope everyone I know and everyone in this universe that got the experience in life has the best fucking time and succeeds in any way they can. And it's just being happy, man. I just want everyone to be.
We're all just a bunch of like consciousnesses that are borrowing bodies on this weird
moving atoms.
world.
That's all we are.
Like we're all just like
a
bunch of energy that's one day we're going to move on to something else. Anyway, on that note, we need to go and eat dinner because your sister's made us dinner.
My sister has made us. Are we getting in trouble? Is Mrs. Loud over here right now?
She's quarantining with us.
Yeah.
Because of funeral.
Okay, good. So we can't have Karen can't report us to get in trouble, can they?
No, we're not going anywhere or mixing with anyone.
Yeah, exactly. She had a COVID test today. She's fine. Yeah, so it's all right. Yeah,
she's had like 2 COVID tests.
She's made us some vegetarian thing, hasn't she?
Yeah, it's a vegetarian chili. I'm really looking forward to it. She's supporting my no meat / cruelty free / like vegan exploration.
I'm glad you call it exploration.
Well, yeah, because I find it too hard to just do it. I'm sorry, but I do. I find it too hard to just cut everything out and do it.
Yeah.
I have to like, you know what I'm like as a person, I hate change.
Yeah.
And I find it really hard to cope with change. So I'm like sliding into this lifestyle really slowly. And I've got a vegan pudding. I've got the Ella's Kitchen cookies that you bake in the oven and the Oatly ice cream, both vegan.
Dude.
Fucking amazing, right?
Holy
bitch. Yeah, baby.
Holy bitch.
Holy bitch.
I've never said holy bitch before.
Never getting any sponsors now, you holy bitch.
That's a great saying. Holy bitch, man. That's good.
Holy
I'm saying that all the time.
Bitch, man.
Holy bitch.
Yeah, you know, when Rufus goes to school in September, we can be like, holy bitch.
Honestly, when you do that weird thing, what is it? Ella's Kitchen, what's it called? What is it? The actual whole thing? Ella's Kitchen
the cookies with the Oatly ice cream.
What are they called? Ella's Kitchen cookies.
They're vegan chocolate chip cookies and they're frozen. And
Ella's
you cook them in the oven
chocolate cookies
and they're warm and then you serve them with ice cream.
With Oatly chocolate ice cream. So basically, every mouthful that you have of this creamy deliciousness, you're thinking nothing suffered for this. And that's a weird thing because normally you got that little bit of guilt thinking, oh shit, something suffered for this. Some like cow had some fucking thing stuffed to its udder and got milked for like, yeah. And it's nice to eat something and think, this is so delicious and I really enjoy it and it's so lovely and nothing else.
Oh, Jan Berry. Can we do a shout out to Jan?
I love Jan.
Or Jan.
Jan or Jan. I think it's Jan. Jan Berry has just jumped in. Hannah would make a wonderful yoga teacher. Thanks, Jan.
I always notice she always says the loveliest comments and like I feel like she's a cheerleader. Yeah, she's a cheerleader and it's so nice to see somebody being so supportive and I just really appreciate it. I always notice her.
Yeah, you always notice those certain people.
Yeah, I feel like we need to just be friends.
It's weird how that you can connect with somebody across the other side of the world. I think she has some older kids who have moved out now, and she's a little bit older, so she's not like her kids have kind of grown up, and it's weird to connect with people across the Atlantic with what we do, and I love that about it. You know that you can do that, but yeah. But anyway, we're going to go and eat some chili con carne. How do you make chili con carne with vegetables?
It's corn mince.
Oh, corn mince. Fungus mince, basically.
And it's been cooking for quite some time now. We were only supposed to do this for half an hour and we've been up here for like
1 hour and 6 minutes.
An hour.
This, 1 hour and 6 minutes.
This is such an unflattering angle. I'm like,
Shut up.
I look like, in Monsters Inc. There's like that big slug receptionist. That's what I look like right now.
Right. Thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in to the live podcast. We're going to put this up live on all of the usual channels on Spotify. And
Are you sure you're going to do
YouTube,
that? Because you did say holy bitch.
Oh, it's fine. It's fine. Who cares? Holy bitch. No, was it holy bitch? Was it holy bitch?
I said holy bitch.
Oh, who knows? Anyway, we've had too much wine on this podcast. Anyway, can I just recommend a wine tip on
Tres
T-R-E-S Hannah. T-R-E-S-P-I-C-O-S. I had this wine with one of my best buddies, Neil, in Tarifa when we did kite surfing a few years ago. You should watch the video. It's I can't remember what it's called. I think it's called Midlife Crisis or something. Every fucking video of ours is called Midlife Crisis. It's not called that. It's called I'm having a crisis or something. This is not a crisis. That's it. It's called This Is Not a Crisis. And it's about my kite surfing trip to Tarifa with my friend Neil. And anyway, we were having a drink one night and we got served this absolutely resplendent red wine, which was just so delicious that Neil put it straight into his Vino app, whatever it's called, and tracked it down, ordered a case of it. And I copied him. Every now and again I order a bunch of it and it's so good. Trespicos. If you like red wine, order a few bottles of that. It will blow your fucking mind. It's delicious. It's everything you'd ever want in a wine. Anyway, thank you so much for listening, everyone. Thank you so much for everyone who tuned into the live version and watched us. Thanks for being such a great little community and always being there for us. And
I hope I wasn't too much of a Debbie Downer.
You were
I always feel like I'm, when you're mean to yourself, even though all the books tell you not to be mean to yourself. I'm like, oh God, what did I say?
You were great. It's fine. That was really. I really enjoyed this.
Jan
podcast.
Berry, bile, holy bitch out. That should be our exit always. Holy bitch out.
I really enjoyed that podcast actually. So thank you so much for watching. And thank you for listening. I've said thank you about a fucking billion times. I've got to stop saying that.
He's so thankful.
Yeah, I'm so thankful.
He's so thankful. Anyway.
Right.
Holy bitch out.
Bye, guys. Take care.
You gotta say it.
Holy bitch out.
Holy bitch out.